Hey all. So welcome to resilience+Rise, the podcast. Here I am on a mission to unlock the mindset needed to conquer life's marathon. Yes, it could be 26 miles or 42 kilometers. My name is Thomas Associates, and this podcast is to inspire. In fact, it is inspired from my upcoming book, Resilience+Rise, which is 26.2 transformative miles to unleash your marathon of life mindset, set to release in early 2025. Just like 26.2 miles, I would like to work this podcast journey for around 26 minutes. And what I intend to do is get powerful insights and stories of resilience. We will dive into the experiences of people who have faced adversities head on and emerged with a renewed sense of purpose. So, if you're ready to build an unbreakable mindset and uncover what it truly means in the face of adversity and challenges, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Today, the guest I have is Allyn Goodrich. So, why Allyn Goodrich? He's from Las Vegas Special Weapon and Tactics Team Leader, also known as SWAT Leader, SWAT. On LinkedIn, he says he's just a normal guy, Las Vegas SWAT officer. He's also an instructor for combined systems. I've known Alan that he is an author of October Strong, a best-selling book, and he's on his journey to find and help cops out, specifically in mental health and physical health. That's his priorities. And as he says, the tagline is got to be a better way. But before I can get more with Alan, there's a statement which he had put across in one of the older writings that he had put, wherein he mentions it's a small world and doesn't hurt to be kind. You never know what impact you can have on someone. It's amazing to me how connected we all are, even if we do not know it. So, with this, I will get on to Alan. Alan, here we are. First and foremost, a huge thank you. A huge thank you. And I'm so excited to have you on this particular podcast. It means a lot.
Thanks,
Before
Thomas.
I can really thank you, you're welcome. And before we can really jump, I would just ask a simple question. Tell me a little about yourself, or better still, how does your regular day look like?
My regular day consists of lots of caffeine and nicotine.
Okay.
No, I appreciate that introduction, Thomas. That was kind of entertaining to hear because, as you said, I look at myself as an average guy, and I don't want to think I'm anything special. I think we're all special in our own world, but I'm one of many people that does a really, really awesome job and has a good time doing it. So my day to day is really busy, and yeah, I'm currently still working, and so sleep and exercise comes few and far between. But that's pretty much my normal day is just busy, busy, busy.
So when you say busy, 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 what is busy, busy, busy? So does it mean like people out in the corporate world, a lot of paperwork or a lot of direction, or what exactly? How do you define busy, busy, busy?
No, well, we don't do a lot of paperwork in SWAT, as you can imagine.
Okay.
Uh, So Las Vegas' SWAT team, we're probably one of the busiest teams in the country. We handle anywhere from 500 to 600 missions a year, and that includes anything from high-risk search warrants to barricaded subjects, all the way to hostage rescues. Right now, with the political season in Las Vegas, we're doing a lot of dignitary protection for pretty much every candidate that wants to come through the swing state. So when I say busy, I mean I worked 22 out of 24 hours yesterday, so we're busy.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me the time. At this point of time, I'm like speechless. Wow. So the topic being specifically about resilience. When did you discover the resilience within your own self? Because from what, of course, we had the conversation few days back, and it was very interesting how you had your take on resilience, which I would like the listeners to know about it. But how did you come across? I mean, resilience when you're growing up, it's one word, but when you're committed to what the job or the work that you are doing, it's a different mindset, or is it?
Well, I mean, people throw out that word resilience a lot these days. Resilience is tough because I don't want to say that I think you either have it or you don't, but I think some people are born with more natural abilities to handle things, um, mentally or physically. But as far as resilience goes, I think for me, and if I could just relate to anybody, I think for me, resiliency comes from basically, my mindset is I'm a big dreamer. I have big dreams. I have big goals, and I just got to find a way to get there, whatever that is. So when we talk about resiliency, I'm thinking of like hitting a roadblock or hitting an obstacle or failure. I don't. I've never. I've never. I guess I was just born differently. I've never looked at a roadblock or an obstacle or failure as that. I've always looked at it as something to get over to get to where I needed to go. So if my goal is this, I don't see myself being stopped right here, even though I am temporarily halted at that point through a failure or whatever. I just see myself as, oh, this is something I have to climb over to get to my end goal. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Um, so I don't know if it's something I've worked on or if it's something that is just born with me, but I think of resiliency as just kind of part of the journey.
So, with you having that particular mindset, you lead a team, and how does the team adapt to that mindset that you have got? Like you take it as, okay, it's not a roadblock. I just need to climb over it.
Sure. Well, just to be specific, so we have an overall team leader and we have an assistant team leader. I'm kind of the head of my grenadier squad, so we're kind of the entry guys, and we handle like a lot of the less lethal and gas deployments and stuff. So I kind of lead that group. But as far as like the overall team mission and the team leader, what we have, when we're on a mission, we train a lot. We are very operational. We've seen a lot of things. And we have a lot of experiences. But at the end of the day, when we're faced with a dangerous person, they always have a say in the outcome, right? So we could plan for A, B, and C, but they may do X, Y, and Z, and so we just have to be able to adapt to what they're doing, and we have to go forward from there. So there's always something new that pops up, but we're able to move and adapt to it. And a lot of the guys I work with, I shouldn't say a lot of the guys I work with, all the guys I work with, they're all the same mentality. So if the bad guy does something that we're not planning, that's okay. We're going to adjust, and we're going to stay safe, and we're going to still get the mission done. So there's nothing that ever happens in our world where we just look at it and go, oh crap, well, I guess we can't do anything. No, we have another avenue to take. And that kind of corresponds to life. So no matter what obstacle or no matter what barrier, no matter what the person does, we react to it to get the end goal.
Okay. It's thank you for that particular way you put it across. Just to go back, the few days back when we had a conversation, and I still applaud you for the work that you do. But wherein you had mentioned something which was very much, which created a beautiful impact on me, was resilience, or the way you handle problems. It is no different from a person who's in the corporate level or handling a family, having problems. So, would you like to say a little more on that?
Yeah, I mean that's great. You and I just had that conversation a few days ago, or I think it was a week ago. And I met up with somebody who's a good friend of mine on LinkedIn. We went and got coffee the other day, and he's a detective in the ICAC world. Now, ICAC is Internet Crimes Against Children.
Okay.
And so, well, if you look at my job, physically demanding, sometimes pretty intense and scary, right? We're getting shot at, we're dealing with murderers and bad guys and going in people's houses. Well, this guy kind of sits behind a desk, right? So if you look on paper, you would think that, our job is very, very stressful and we're up here where a detective who sits at a desk is down here. But the truth is, the things that detective has to investigate and the things he has to see on a day-to-day basis affects him mentally unbelievably so. So while they hold us at a high regard, they'll say things to us like, "Oh, you guys are our heroes," and "Man, you guys are so, you're so tough," or whatever. I look at this guy and I'm like, I've seen some investigations you guys have to do, and the things that must affect you mentally, and no, we are not different. The things that affected him affect me greatly, but they're different. They're the same. And so when you and I were speaking about the corporate world, it goes back to, I think about, if you have a deadline and you have a boss that's down your neck and you have a money budget and you have deadlines and you have coworkers to deal with and you have drama at home, all that stress still is affecting your body like the stress of my job. So yes, I'm being shot at, or we're going into a house, and you have those things on your side. They may be physically different, but they affect our bodies the same. Stress is stress. And so when we talk about that resiliency and kind of comparing them, I don't think it's a safe thing to do and compare, apples to oranges, but they're still just as important. The stress that you guys feel in the corporate world, or anybody, is going to affect your body just as unhealthily as the stress of our job.
Alan, what I just loved about it is that how casually you say getting shot at. It is, it is not a normal. Even I wouldn't want to even fathom that particular element out. Wherein, yes, we people in the corporate world or the handling day-to-day life experiences have got stress, have got challenges, and it's all about how you rise above it. And that's what I talk in my book, is that just one step at a time. But
Correct.
when you are working, you are not only looking into your, let's say, if I'm you mentioned about a hostage situation or the dignity or whatnot, but also you're focused on the team that's around you. There's a lot of balance. Yes, the managers or the directors of companies also do the same particular element. But when we put it from that angle, and when you, what are the learnings that you see that could be translated to, here I would say, normal guys like us?
Well, you gave the key there. I mean, I'm listening to your question and I'm trying to think of something to respond because I want to make it organic in general. But you said, I'm focusing on my team, right? So when I go out on a mission, I have one job to do. I have to watch that window, or I have to watch this area, or I have to do a certain function. I have one little piece in a giant puzzle, right? And so while my piece may be small, if I do my small piece, then this whole machine works, right? It's like a watch, has all those different parts and pieces, but they're all different, right? So when you said team, on the SWAT team, I have to do one thing. I have to do my one job, and I have to do it perfectly, and I have to do it well in order for the whole success to go. So I am relying on my partner who's looking in a different direction with a different job, right? We might have breachers who have to put up explosives on a door. We might have snipers who are watching a certain window, and I'm an entry guy, and I have to focus on my entry job. But I have to rely on every single person to do their job and then do it really well, and we all are safe, and the outcome is fantastic. So in a corporate world, I think sometimes, and I have a very small corporate job experience, but I think a lot of people are out for themselves. I want this
Mm.
promotion. I have to look good, or I have to outdo my partner, or I have to put somebody down in order to make myself look better. While they're being selfish, trying to promote themselves, the overall team is failure. So if in the corporate world, if people can rely on the team and everybody elevates everybody, then it works perfectly. My boss right now, we have the top guy in our chain. He said something last night that was very profound to me, because in the past we've had leadership that they want, this is the way it is and this is the way it goes and this is my word and that's gospel. My boss isn't like that. And I'm talking about my boss's 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 boss. He was there last night. And
Wow.
last night
Okay.
when we were on a mission, and some small police officer had an opinion and said something, and 7 ways up that chain, our boss heard that and goes, "That's a great idea. Let's do that." So he is all about listening to everyone so that the entire team gets elevated and the mission can be successful and we can be safe. So I would just say, like, let's focus more on a teamwork to get the overall accomplishment done rather than, promoting ourselves to make ourselves look better or advancing our personal agendas.
Again, over here, it's the team spirit that you have built up on. But when we are faced with the societal norms, what's taking place, wherein it's a jungle out over there, um, man eat man, or whatever we call it as. Okay, you got to survive. You got to just come on top. The indoctrination of a lot of people, whether they are getting their degrees or whether they are getting the promotions, etc. For them, that's where the achievement comes in.
Correct.
Here, I will take a pause and go back to the statement wherein you had mentioned about kindness and impact to others, which I found it was beautiful. In fact, I had also totally believe in that particular element is that, you know what, hey, we are over here for just a small time. What's wrong in just saying hi and being kind to another person? Would you like to say something about why that statement became such a statement of your mission or a vision, something like that?
Well, I guess, that's something. Kindness is not something that came natural to me. I definitely had to work and learn to be kind.
Hmm.
I wouldn't say I was a naturally kind kid or a kind adult, but I had some really good influences in my life that I would look at where they are and how they treated people, and I really tried to emulate them. And some of the most impactful mentors in my career have been extremely kind people. And so
Mm-hmm.
I've really focused on working to try and be kind, not just outwardly, but also inwardly. Like, how do I think about somebody and how do I treat somebody? And even it goes to how do I treat a bad guy? Like, if we take them in custody, do I have to put the handcuffs on really hard and give them a good 1-2, or can I treat them kindly?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Larry Burns was a huge influence in my early career, and he was probably one of the most kind people I've ever met. And so it's something that I've really looked at trying to do going forward is just it doesn't hurt to be kind. Like, you don't have anything to lose by being kind. There's nothing to lose. And so it's something that I always try and work on more and more, especially the older I get. I'm not 20 anymore, so I'm really trying to just be a good person these days.
Good. Wow. So actually, this comes to the next rolls beautifully into the next particular question was October Strong, the bestseller that you put across, and you mentioned that all the proceeds go for mental health and mental awareness, helping the your brothers in arms to be a better self. Would you want to say about a little about the book itself and also about your vision about how you, Alan, are helping others or your team for a betterment of mental health?
Well, I appreciate that's a good question. I never dreamed about being an author or bestseller by any measure. I started writing that book kind of I was going through some struggles in my personal life, and I was trying everything. We're talking about resiliency. I wasn't giving up. I was hurting, and I wanted to find a way to not hurt anymore. And there were things I was doing that weren't working. Going to the gym, going to doctors, drinking. None of that stuff really seemed to really help. But when I found, writing, which originally started as journaling, that became my therapy. So when I began the journey of writing the book, it really wasn't intended to be a bestseller or anything good. It was just a way for me to put words on paper, and it felt like therapy for me. And then it ended up turning into a really cool project. Um, and then when it was out and it just took off like lightning in a bottle, I didn't anticipate that or see that coming, and so we wanted to do something good with the money. I don't, I didn't think it was fair to earn money off of telling stories that didn't always belong to me. And so we made a decision as a family to donate the money to charity, and it's been a lot of fun. But where I'm going with this is now that it's become bigger and bigger and bigger, and there's more and more exposure. For me, finding my why, finding your reason, finding your next purpose. I've been getting a whole lot of feedback on people who read it, and it's touched them and it's meant something to them, and it's even helped them. And that's something that I was not anticipating. But now that I realize that it is impacting people and that it's doing good, my next why has become, okay, what can I do more with this? How can I affect somebody else who may have been hurting like I was? The avenues that I found to write a book were the things that helped me. Somebody else may be different. They may respond to doctors, or they may respond to the gym, but for me it didn't. So now I'm looking to find my not just police officers. I mean, people in general, and first responders, yes, because that's what I am. But anybody who's struggling, let's find those avenues for healing. Let's find those avenues for growing, and that's that resilience that you're talking about. Is don't give up. You have to keep looking for. You have to look for that thing that's going to help you, because we're all different. So now I'm really focused on just finding that next why to help somebody else.
That's wonderful. In fact, there are so many life lessons around over here. In the last few minutes I've got is about listening, more teamwork, don't give up, help another, and this is beautiful. It's a gold mine. It's a gold mine.
Thank
And
you.
going further, what would you, for the audience who's listening to this, what would you? I don't say the word advice, but what would you say that for us to be a better human, what would what's your life lessons that you could put across?
Well, I like the thing that you said, advice, because I'm the last person that should give. I'm the
Same with me also.
I'm the I'm the last person that should give any advice. But I can only tell people from my experiences.
Yes,
I can tell you what's helped me, and I can tell you what I've done that I found that works, and just encourage you to find your thing. So for me, it's been not giving up, and finding an avenue for healing. So if somebody out there is hurting, I would just advise them, or tell them. For me, it was, I kept looking, I kept looking, I kept looking until I found it. Now, I will say that somebody did point me in the right direction. Somebody gave me the idea, and I tried it. So I would say be open to others' advice, right? They always say that a wise man learns from his mistakes, but a genius or a smarter man learns from others' mistakes. So when somebody pointed out to me a possibility, I tried it and it worked. So I would say to people who are out there who are going through struggles or um, roadblocks and conflicts, if somebody gives you some advice, be open to trying it out. It may work, it may not, but give it a shot. I would say be open to criticism and critique, because sometimes we don't see the person that is the worst is the person in the mirror until somebody points it out. But be open to advice, be open to critique, try things out, keep moving forward. And then at the end of the day, like we said, with kindness, I found that to be, really good for me. When somebody treats you unkind and then you respond with kindness, it kind of takes the wind out of their sails. Like, you could take road rage, for example. Somebody cuts you off and gives you the bird. You pull up to the light next to them and you say, "Hey, I apologize. That was my fault." And then it's over, right? You don't have this road rage incident. They're just like, "Oh, the situation's done because you were kind." So, like, it always goes back to kindness for me.
beautiful, fantastic. That's such so valuable on that particular point. Uh, so, are you planning for another book? Are you planning for something bigger, better? And guys, again, Alan, I may be stepping out of the line, but this book, what we're talking about, October Strong, it has already sold more than million copy. I won't give you the exact amount, but it has sold more than million copies. So there is something about the book that people are going and putting themselves into it. And do have a look onto it, to read it and see what the learnings are. And I know there are a lot of nuggets which is not been told maybe in the newspapers, things like that, but then through a reflection of a fictionalized character, there could be something which you could just ponder and see what is the life of personalities like Alan Goodrich. So, what's your next project, or what's it? What you are up to? Sorry if I went out of the line, but I had to say that because there was so much of excitement since last couple of days when I was looking through all the details, and I said, I got to tell that.
Well, you may have crossed the line because I finally do have a title for it. Yes, there is a second book coming out. Um, we are close to being done with it, and then it'll go through the editing process, and it'll
Mhm.
take a while. So we're not quite ready to release it, but I did finally get the title, which I'm not going to say here because somebody could steal it.
Sure.
But basically, the premise of this next book is basically failing forward. So there's a
Okay.
really good public speaker out there named Eric Thomas. He's a doctor, and he has this
Eric
bit that
Thomas, Dr. Eric Thomas here?
yeah, he has a
Who does
bit
not
that
know
he
Eric
talks
Thomas? Yes.
he's beautiful, and he has a bit that kind of talks about fail forward, right? And so that means that you fail, but you're falling forward. You get up, and you're now further in front than where you were. So every successful person that has ever been did not just wake up and become Michael Jordan. Nobody woke up and became Kobe Bryant. Nobody woke up and became Conor McGregor. That was a lot of failure to get to that point. And so that this book is basically going to highlight several people's journeys that are just mind blowing, and they're going to be famous people that you know, but you don't know the failures that happened beforehand. So I've got permission from some pretty cool individuals to tell their story. And when you read their name, you're going to be like, oh, I know who this is. But then I'm going to tell a story of how they got there that you're going to just scratch your head and be like, wow, I did not know that they had to go through this process to get to where they are. Um, so that's going to probably come out. I was thinking springtime next year, but now it's more practically going to be summertime next
Okay.
year. And I'll release the name eventually, but I got to get some
Beautiful. I
copyrights done
sincerely
before I do that.
I sincerely wish you all the best. Actually, when you were mentioning about that, a lot of us we just see the pinnacle or the successes of people, but we don't realize what went or what transpired through them to reach that particular level. In fact, when you
Right.
mentioned about that, even in the book of Resilience Plus Rise, I have put out a story of James Douglas Buster, wherein he had a shot at Mike Tyson, and wherein he
Mike
turned out to
Tyson.
be the champion. Yeah, and because it was a promise that he had given to his dying mother, that that sense of
Yeah,
passion
Buster
grew in
Buster
him.
Buster Douglas had an opportunity that nobody else had, and he capitalized on that moment for sure.
Yes. Anyway, just being mindful of the time, Alan. I sincerely wish you best wishes on the next journey that you're on to, and keep the light shining. And you're an amazing man. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your space. And
Thank you, Thomas.
it's truly an honor. So with this, I will just stop the recording. Thank you very much.
Thanks, brother.